What's up, guys? LQ here with the LQ Pop Culture Review. Thank you so much for joining me right here at my YouTube channel. This is episode 3 of the LQ Pop Culture Review. So in the LQ Pop Culture Review, I talk about a few topics that happened in pop culture that week, and then I do a little show and tell, and then I answer some questions, and then we wrap it up. I try to keep it around 45 minutes long. If you don't want to watch the whole video, the next day, tomorrow, I will have clips inserted into my YouTube channel as well, or uploaded onto my YouTube channel as well, that covers the main topics. But definitely want to encourage you to watch the whole video, because I'm trying to do something a little different here with my YouTube channel, trying to get some more subscribers and trying to build up a little bit more of a base, so that eventually I am able to monetize. So I've got the subscriber amount, I just don't have the viewing hours that I need. So I'm trying to get up to that 4,000 hours of viewing in a calendar year, and I'll let you guys know when I get close. I'm over halfway there, but you know, it's a big hill to climb. So before I get into my main topics, well, first of all, let me tell you what the main topics are going to be today. We're going to talk about Peacemaker, Scream, Hotel Transylvania 4, the Book of Boba Fett Episode 3, and then, for my show and tell, I'm going to be opening up a package of Superman 2 cards from what were these from? 1980. 1980. So they're like 42 years old. I'm going to open them up, I'm going to check out the cards, and then I'm going to chew the piece of gum in here. A 42-year-old piece of gum. That's right. Alright, but before we get into the main topics, I did have a couple other things I wanted to touch on real fast. The first thing that I really wanted to touch on was the fact that I finally did watch The Eternals. The Eternals was the first MCU movie, literally the first MCU movie that I did not see in the theaters. Even all the way back to 2008's Iron Man. And guys, if you want to go even further back, I saw the Blade movies in theaters, I saw the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie in theaters, I saw the X-Men movies in theaters. I mean, we can go back further than that, but just the MCU, I've seen them all in theaters. This was the first one that I did not see in theaters, because honestly, the trailers didn't do anything for me. The trailers, I thought, looked painfully boring and a little pretentious. The messaging that we were getting from Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige honestly sounded a little pretentious. Like, ooh, we've got this Academy Award winning Best Picture director, or Best Director from the Academies, and this is the best movie we've ever made. I mean, honestly, from the get-go, I was like, this sounds a little pretentious to me. And quite frankly, I'm just not very familiar with the Eternals. Like, I never read any Eternal comics. I've got over 5,000 comics in here, and not one of them is an Eternals comic. So I just wasn't familiar with them, and the movie looked boring, and everything about it seemed a little pretentious. So I really wasn't interested in seeing it in the theaters. But when it came out on Disney Plus, I was like, why not? Why not give it a shot? So what did I think of it? Honestly, I didn't think much of it. It turns out that the trailers delivered a very real picture of what this movie is, and it was a very slow-paced, slogging, a little bit boring movie. It did have some nice action sequences, and to be fair, it might be the most beautifully shot MCU movie, but it felt so detached from the rest of the MCU that it was hard to, like, anytime that they brought up Iron Man or Thanos or anything like that, it almost took me out of the movie, because it was like, oh yeah, this is a Marvel movie. And I don't know, the things that happen in this movie, I understand that the MCU is now this big cosmic world with sorcerers and aliens and all this, but everything that happened in this film, I just felt was a little bit much, even in the MCU. A little bit much, even in the MCU. It suffered from not having a good villain. It suffered from again, it suffered from its pacing. Its pacing was awful. I mean, you've got these 10 characters, these 10 main characters that they had to spend time to introduce, and by the time that the movie really got going, it was over halfway into the film. And I don't know, I didn't care about any of the main characters, and I just didn't find it that interesting at all. Like I said, I was a little bored. The ending was fine. I mean, the ending was a big CGI fest, as MCU movies tend to be. But at the end of the day, I was just pretty bored by the entire film. It's hard not to talk about wokeism in Hollywood today. And, MCU, the first 3 phases of the MCU, I felt like they did a good job of having diversity in it without having to checkbox. And I also feel like the Eternals did a lot of box checking. They did a lot of box checking. Strong female lead, check. Very diverse cast, check. Pretty much every race is represented in this group. Very diverse cast, check. LGBTQ character, check. White male who ends up being antagonistic to everybody, check. I mean, it's everything about this seemed like checkism, woke checkism to me. And that didn't help its cause. But those things could have been there, and I would have enjoyed it had the movie been good. And it just wasn't. It just wasn't. I found myself very bored, and checking my watch, or, pausing it regularly to see how much was left, because I was very bored by it. I really hope that the Eternals do not play a very pivotal role moving forward in the MCU. I think that they also have the issue of being a little overpowered in the MCU. And yeah, the MCU is this world now where there's a superhero in every community, it seems like. Like, it's a very overcrowded MCU now, especially with the Eternals coming into the game. But even with this overcrowded MCU, the Eternals are definitely overpowered. And I don't know where we could take them that would be interesting moving forward from here. So I really think they're going to work best as a standalone. Maybe 1 or 2 characters can move on, but having them move on as a team, I'm honestly just not interested in it at all. This just didn't work for me. So that's just my take on it. What did you guys think of the Eternals? Let me know in the comments down below. Alright, let's talk about the some season premieres now. For my next real quick topic, some season premieres. We've got the season premiere of Naomi, Season 1, Episode 1, and the season premiere of Superman and Lois, Season 2, Episode 1. Now, I hate the CW. The CW is trash. I've said this so many times. The CW superhero storytelling is the lowest common denominator storytelling. It's not effective superhero storytelling. Naomi's a cool character, though. I've got Naomi's first few issues. I definitely enjoyed her when she... And you know what? Comic book fans are always saying, stop race-bending superheroes. Just make original ones. Naomi's an original one. And she's a good one. She's a good one. She's an intriguing character. So intriguing and so popular, in fact, that she's been made a part of the Justice League. And I'm really enjoying this current Justice League run that has her and Black Adam and Hippolyta in it. This first episode, I don't know if it worked for me, though. It was very strange. So she's a Superman superfan, but does Superman exist in this universe? Like, they keep referring to comic books, but there's Superman sightings, and she keeps chasing down Superman sightings, and then we see Superman, but is it actually Superman? It's all very much up in the air on what is happening right now. So it's a bit of a mystery at this point on whether or not Superman exists. And I think the general consensus is that he doesn't exist, but, she has superpowers, she is special, and at the end of the episode she learns that. So how is this going to play into the DC universe as a greater whole? Be it the Arrowverse or something else. I'm not sure yet. I'm intrigued enough that I will be watching episode 2. I'm not intrigued enough to say that I'm going to be continuing on no matter what, like I am with Peacemaker. Like, Peacemaker could have a few bad episodes in a row, and I'm going to keep watching it. Naomi, a couple bad episodes in a row, I'm probably going to drop it. So it's kind of this fine line that I'm walking with Naomi right now, where I'm like, all right, I'm intrigued enough to continue, but I'm not intrigued enough to block off the time yet to make the commitment to watch the whole season. So yeah, let's see what happens with episode 2. I thought episode 1 was okay. I thought it was a little slogging, a little slow. Definitely took time to develop the character, and at the end of the day, I didn't feel like the character was fully developed yet. We still don't know exactly what the extent of, unless you've read the comics, you don't know the extent of her powers or anything like that at this point. So yeah, curious to see where they go with Naomi, but I'm not in love with it yet. So, what are your thoughts on Naomi episode 1? Let me know in the comments down below. On to Superman and Lois season 2 episode 1. Now, if you remember, I've talked about this lots. I hate the CW, but I loved Superman and Lois. I thought Superman and Lois was a great first season of a Superman show. Now, it did lose steam as season 1 progressed, and I honestly I finished season 1, but I started to lose interest towards the end of season 1. Now season 2, I'm kind of back on the train. Maybe the season just ran a little long, because now season 2, I'm kind of excited about it again. I'm kind of back on the train, and I really enjoyed the first episode of season 2. I can relate. Being the father of teenagers, I can relate to different perspectives on parenting, and not always seeing eye to eye with your spouse, but then having to come to a conclusion with your spouse on, okay, this is the attack, we have to be united front, this is the tact we're going to take. So I appreciate that storytelling with Superman and Lois, and that's one of the things I've always appreciated about this show, is the fact that it really focuses on the challenges of parenting, rather than a villain of the week type show. But we got to talk about the ending. The ending. Wow. But before I talk about the ending, I do want to say that the person, I'm not loving the whole person who replaced General Lane. This idea that Superman will not look out for American best interest. The episode had him saving a North Korean sub, saving the people who were on the sub, and I think that there's a fine line to walk there. I understand Superman is a citizen of the world, and he's here to protect humanity, and that doesn't necessarily mean, Americans only. But I think there's a fine line to walk there, because I understand that they changed the slogan, Truth, Justice, in the American Way. I understand that they changed that recently, and I was not a fan of them changing that, and I also understand that that wasn't always the slogan. I get that. That slogan came about during World War II, during some of the propaganda that was going on during World War II. But I feel like we have to approach Superman as he is. And as he is right now, he's very ingrained in American pulp culture and American society. And I'm on board with this, citizen of the world Superman. I just hope that the show does not go anti-American. I really hope that's not where they go. I don't think they've done that yet, but I do think that there's a line that they can walk, and they are walking. And I feel like there is a segment of progressives in America that are anti-American, and I just hope that the show does not. I hope they don't start writing Superman as anti-American, or even writing the show itself as anti-American, because nothing will get me to stop watching quicker than that. So like I said, I don't think they've done that yet, but there's a line to walk, and I hope that they continue to walk that line and walk it well. But let's talk about the ending. That was Doomsday, right? That was Doomsday. That had to have been Doomsday, and if that was Doomsday, I'm psyched for it. I'm a big fan of the Death of Superman storyline. It's never really been adapted well. They made the Superman Doomsday animated movie, 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago now. And then they did the Death and Return of Superman, which again wasn't really the most faithful adaptation. It was a little bit more faithful, but not really. Doomsday appeared in Smallville, as a rubber costume. Doomsday appeared in Krypton. Doomsday appeared in Batman v Superman. They never really tackled the Doomsday storyline well. So I'm hoping that if that was Doomsday, and that was totally Doomsday, right? If that was Doomsday, I hope that they tackle it well, because Doomsday's due for a good interpretation. So because of the ending, I'm really excited about seeing where they go next, and I'm on board for now. Just like I was last season. Last season I kept on saying I'm on board for now with Superman and Lois, and here we are in season 2, and I'm still on board for now. I hate the CW. I hate it. I think that they are awful storytellers, but for whatever reason, they're finding just the right balance between CW garbageness and actual good Superman storytelling that I'm on board for now. So, what did you guys think of this first episode of the second season of Superman and Lois? Let me know in the comments down below. Alright guys, now it's time for Peacemaker. Give Peace a chance, and I think you should totally give this show a chance. Peacemaker, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. I don't understand how James Gunn made a DC show that was so good. You know, I kind of got to the point where I was like, oh man, I just don't know if anybody's gonna be able to really do long-form DC storytelling on television. You know, Lois and Clark has been okay. Doom Patrol started out great, but then, Titans, season 2 of Titans was phenomenal, and then season 3 was, you know, you look at, let's not even talk about the CW. Stargirl, season 1 was great. Season 2, I couldn't get through it. I was just kind of bored by it. So, Peacemaker's been phenomenal. It was great. Picks up right where the Suicide Squad leaves off. They even have a previously on Suicide Squad at the beginning of the first episode, which I thought was a really cool recap, and just the mixture of hyper violence, comedy, excellent characters, and storytelling. Just telling a good story, kind of a mystery that's unfolding. We don't have all the answers. We're kind of learning the answers as Peacemaker's learning the answers. It's been so well done, so well done. Vigilante is kind of like a low rent Deadpool. Like when he was there's gonna be spoilers here, by the way. When he was using the sniper rifle to take out that family, and he was just I thought that was hilarious. So yeah, he's definitely struck me as Deadpool-like. His perceived friendship with Peacemaker was very endearing, and the character was just a lot of fun. John Cena as Christopher Smith, Peacemaker. I've got my problems with John Cena. You know, the whole China apology thing really kind of turned me off of him. I'm sorry, Taiwan's a country. It is. It's okay to say it is. But I thought he did great in this. I thought he carried the series very well. Very funny. His bonding time with Vigilante was great when they were blowing up appliances. This physicality in the fight scenes was excellent. The fight scene against the first butterfly was great. I think he's doing a great job. The supporting cast has been wonderful. Harcourt especially is an interesting character. And yeah, like I said, you've got a mystery here on what is a butterfly and what is going on here. And I'm very curious to see where this goes from here. The opening sequence, the opening credits is hilarious. I know a lot of people haven't been a huge fan of it, but for me, I thought it was hilarious. Does it fit into the DCEU? I mean, like, tonally, it's so different from Zack Snyder's Justice League, Batman v Superman, Man of Steel. It's so different that I feel like, and let's talk about a weakness of the DCU right now. I feel like the DCU has no direction right now. They have no real plan in place. They're just kind of throwing stuff against the wall and seeing if it sticks. And I feel like Peacemaker is one of the things that they threw against the wall. And you know what? I think for most people this is going to stick. But the tone of it makes it clear that they have no clear direction on where they're going next. I mean, tonally, this is so different from Shazam. Looks like it's going to be so different from Wonder Woman. I mean, all this stuff that's supposed to take place in the same universe is so tonally different that they can't even exist in the same universe. And, you know, DC has this multiverse. It's just the multiverse, guys. It's okay. And I feel like DC throws out the word multiverse believing that it's going to appease the fans. Like we're too stupid to realize that they don't have a plan. So they throw out the word multiverse because they say, hey, if we say multiverse, the fans will be excited. And we can do whatever we want. And that's just, you know, it's time for fans to wise up and realize that they don't have a plan. And just throwing out multiverse so they can do a whole bunch of standalone crap and keep throwing stuff against the walls and seeing what sticks. I don't think that's effective in building a long-term cinematic universe. So yeah, they can have something that's good. Peacemaker's good. But I'm still not excited about the DCU as a whole moving forward. So that's going to be the real weakness that these shows and movies that are wins for the DCU. That's going to be the real weakness that they have moving forward. It's great. They can be a win, but they're not really a part of anything. As far as I'm concerned, the only thing that exists with Peacemaker is the Suicide Squad. You know, not even Birds of Prey or the original Suicide Squad. I don't even think they necessarily fit in the same universe as this, because it's just so totally different. You know, Kevin Feige makes sure that the MCU, even though they can make things that are really different, that tonally everything matches. Now, I would argue that he failed with the Eternals, but for the most part, everything that he's done in the MCU has been tonally congruent with everything else that's been going on. That's just not the case at the DCEU. Everything is so different and so unlike everything else that, you know, you could be the best puzzler in the world and you're not going to be able to make these pieces fit. So, yeah, I've got issue with where the DCEU is going, but I can't deny that Peacemaker's been a win so far. So, what did you think of the first 3 episodes of The Peacemaker? Let me know in the comments below. Alright guys, so now let's talk about Scream, or Scream 5, or Scream 2022, whatever you want to call it, let's talk about it. And first I'm going to read what I put on social media right after I saw it. Alright. I saw Scream 5 today. AKA Scream, AKA Scream 2022. In a lot of ways, this was a love letter to the first movie. This is the first Scream movie not directed by Wes Craven, who passed away a few years ago. At the end, 4 Wes appeared on the screen. I felt that. This is all about honoring what came before while forging a new path. Much like Ghostbusters Afterlife, the presence of the legacy characters of Sidney, Gale, and Dewey are felt throughout the movie, but they are no longer the focus. Also, like Ghostbusters Afterlife, Sidney, Gale, and Dewey indeed do get their moments to shine. And although they do not appear on screen, or do they, Billy, Stu, and Randy are also felt very much in this film. You should rewatch Scream and Scream 4 before seeing this one. The movie offers commentary on toxic fandom, and it steps up the gore, even if the body count is lesser than in previous installments. If you're a fan of the franchise, you will come away very satisfied. If you aren't, I think there's still some fun to be had here, but you might often feel like you are on the outside of an inside joke. So much of this movie depends on what has happened before, especially the first movie. Being a fan, I liked it quite a bit. And yeah, I did. I liked it quite a bit. I thought that the new Scream was very well done. My biggest concern going in was, this being the first movie not directed by Wes Craven, that they would try to do something so different that it no longer felt like it was a part of the Scream franchise. But everything about this movie, right down to how it felt, the tone of it, the lighting of it, the dialogue, the town of Woodsboro, the legacy characters, everything about it felt like it belonged, like it could easily be inserted right into the Scream franchise. And I thought that was phenomenal. That alleviated my biggest worry. After that was alleviated, for me, all they had to do was tell a competent Scream story, and I was going to be happy. And it was more than competent, it was very well done. As I said in my social media, it addressed toxic fandom. Now, I think that Hollywood has to be careful when addressing toxic fandom, because when they're addressing toxic fandom, what they are doing is they're addressing fans. And you never want to go to war with fans. And there was some positive interpretation of fandom in this movie, but not much. Most of fandom was kind of derided in this movie. And like I said, I feel like they need to be careful with that moving forward. But I think that they handled it good enough here that it wasn't a problem. As I said, the kills were much more gory this time around. There was especially a kill involving a neck that I thought was, extremely gory. But there was nothing that I felt was too over the top or in the realm of anything that was just gratuitous like Saw or anything like that. I felt that it was still very in line with what you normally get in a slasher film like this. It might have just stepped it up a little bit, but it was still very in line with what you would normally get in the slasher genre, and especially in the Scream genre, or in the Scream franchise. The new characters I thought were mostly compelling. Some of them were a little vanilla, some of them were a little forgettable, but the characters that I believe will continue this franchise, I liked all of them. Now, if I say who, I'm going to be offering up big spoilers, so let me just say that there are a couple characters who survived, and the ones who did survive, I will be perfectly happy with them taking the franchise on from here. I do think that this installment closed the book on Sydney, Gail, and Dewey's involvement in the franchise, and at this point, I think that's okay. There wasn't much for them to do anyway in this film. Like I said, it was very much in the same vein of Ghostbusters Afterlife, where they were not in it much. Their presence was felt the entire time, but they just weren't in the movie a whole lot. And when they were in the movie, I didn't feel like they had a lot to do. So I feel like following the rules of the reboot, cool. You have to have the legacy characters there to legitimize it, but now, moving forward, I don't think that the legacy characters have to be there, especially if they include the characters that survived this film. Overall, I feel that this movie was a win. There was a lot of excitement after the early screenings where everybody was saying this was the best thing since the original. Yeah, I'm not going to say that. There were some things that I wanted to happen that people speculated online that was going to happen that did not happen. And that left me kind of let down. But at the same time, as a fan, it's my own fault for putting expectations on this film. So we want to talk about toxic fandom. It's something we all do. We all do it sometimes. So I had expectations on this film that if they didn't do what I wanted them to do, then I wasn't going to be, as happy as I could be. And here we are. They didn't do exactly what I wanted them to do, so I'm not as happy as I could be. That's what fandom is, I guess. But I was very satisfied at the end. As a fan of the original movie and as a fan of the franchise, I was very happy with where they went with this. So, yeah, I'd give this a solid B, maybe a B+. It was very well done, and it definitely honored what Wes had done before, what Wes Craven had done before. So, what did you think of Scream 2022? Let me know in the comments down below. And while we're here, might as well stay on the topic of Scream for just another minute and another few minutes, and let's rank the Scream franchise from worst to best. So there's been 5 entries in the Scream franchise. I never watched the TV show, not interested in the TV show. So we're going to rank the 5 movies from worst to best. So let's start with number 3. Number 3. Let's start with number 5. Number 5 for me is Part 3. Part 3, it just felt a little bit too meta. Like they took the whole movie within a movie shtick that they did in the second movie, and they just took it a little bit too far for me. The whole killings happening around the making of a movie, it just felt like it detached it from anything that I was able to relate with, and it started feeling a little cartoony. The ending was great with Roman as the killer. The final fight between Sidney and Roman was phenomenal, but overall, I won't say Scream 3 was a bad movie, but it is by far the weakest of the franchise. Number 4 for me, and this is where it's going to get a little bit controversial, maybe. Actually, this whole thing's been controversial because, spoiler alert, Part 1 is not my favorite. All right, so number 4 is Scream 2. I liked Scream 2. I like every movie in this franchise outside of Part 3. I like them all a lot. But for me, Scream 2 just, it felt a little bit safe. It kind of followed a lot of it kind of understood what your expectations were after the first movie, and it just kind of played on those expectations. It brought in a killer that was related to a killer from the first movie. There were some nice sequences in the film, some nice kills and whatnot, but overall, Scream 2 kind of felt a little bit safe for my liking. So that's number 4. Again, I liked it. I liked it a lot. But that's number 4. All right, number 3. Number 3 would be Scream 5. Again, I felt that it did a good job honoring what Wes Craven had done before, and I felt that it told a very solid story, ratcheted up the gore, ratcheted up the kind of the scare factor, but it didn't quite reach the heights of the 2 at the top of the list. All right, here we go. Number 2 is the original Scream. The original Scream is a classic. It's a classic. It's for a long time it was one of my favorite horror movies. The wit, the dialogue, the scares, the kills. I mean, it kind of redefined what a slasher movie was going to be for well over a decade. And you got to respect it for how it changed the game. It created enduring characters that we still know and love today. Sidney, Gale, Dewey, Billy Loomis, Stu Macher, Randy Meeks. It created these characters that still exist in the zeitgeist of pop culture. So, and it created this whole subgenre of witty, self-referential horror films. You know, The Faculty came after that, and How I Met Your Mother. I Know What You Did Last Summer came after that. You know, you started seeing those self-referential movies, and none of those would have happened without Scream. So Scream was definitely a trendsetter, and I loved it. But in my opinion, the best Scream movie is Scream 4. I'm sorry, I think Scream 4 is phenomenal. Outside of an opening that's a little bit too on the nose, the rest of the movie was great. It definitely kept me guessing as far as who the killers were, and it approached the idea of a reboot more effectively than I believe the new one did. I really loved what they did with the legacy characters, Sidney, Gale, and Dewey in this movie, and I don't think that outside of the opening, I know that a lot of people like to crap on Scream 4, but outside of the opening sequence, I don't think Scream 4 has a weakness. I love it. I think it's the best in the franchise. So, how would you rank the Scream movies? Let me know in the comments down below. Feel free to send me all sorts of garbage about putting Scream 4 as my favorite, but I'm sorry, it was. It's alright. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Alright, on to our next topic. Me and my family, we had the chance to sit down on Amazon Prime and watch Hotel Transylvania 4. Transmorphia. I think is what it's called, right? Hotel Transylvania, Transmorphia. And, you know, the first Hotel Transylvania was one that it was a movie I was a pretty big fan of. I thought it was fun. I thought it was silly. Definitely, you know, had a lot of the Adam Sandler style of humor. And it's gotten progressively worse since then. I didn't really love part 2. It was tolerable. Part 3, the one where they're on the cruise, was less tolerable. And now part 4, you know, we no longer have Adam Sandler voicing. We no longer have Kevin James voicing. That took me out of it initially, but then I finally got used to the new voices, and it didn't really bother me as much. The plot of Hotel Transylvania 4 is about Johnny wanting to be a part of the family, so he figures out how to become a monster. He changes himself into a monster where he turns into like some sort of dinosaur dragon type thing. And in the process of all these hijinks, Dracula and his friends end up getting transformed into humans. And there's some fun interactions that take place between the characters when they are humans, especially with the mummy being turned into an old man, Frank being turned into like this hunk, and the werewolf character being turned into like this beaten down husband who no longer has any will to go on. I thought it was a fun take on human versions of the characters, and honestly, it was enough that I can say that it was probably my second favorite entry in the series. It's not saying a whole lot because I didn't love 2 or 3 at all. So, I mean, take that for what you will. I thought the interactions between the characters was good. I felt that if they were going to go anywhere else, that this was a decent spot to take the story. There's not much else you can do with these characters, but I thought that this was a logical place to take the characters. Seeing Drac get close to retirement, wanting to travel the world with his new wife, and wanting to turn the hotel over to his daughter and his son-in-law. Again, a lot of this stuff is starting to feel very safe, very formulaic, but also somewhat logical in where they should take the franchise. So I don't know where they could possibly take it from here, or if it even should continue from here. And if this is the end of the Hotel Transylvania franchise, I'm not going to shed a tear. But it was nice that they put something out that I at least enjoyed more than the previous installments. It had a brisk run pace of 83 minutes. It was too short to get bored. You know, if it would have ran any longer, the whole shtick, the whole idea behind the plot of the movie might have started to wear a little bit, but they didn't really give you time to get bored by it, and it just kind of moved at a very brisk pace. There were some jokes that landed, there was a lot of jokes that didn't land, and overall, I just felt like, you know, there are some movies where I hate using the word meh when describing a movie, but there's some movies where that is an apt describer of it, and I feel like it wasn't bad, it wasn't good, it was just So, alright, Hotel Transylvania 4, it's kind of the definition of a C movie, so that's the grade I'm gonna give it. And like I said, I'd put it second. It's my second favorite in the franchise, and that's not really saying a whole lot. I did miss Adam Sandler and Kevin James, but whoever they had voicing them did a good enough Adam Sandler and Kevin James impression that you kind of stop noticing after a while. So, alright, Hotel Transylvania 4, what were your thoughts? Let me know in the comments down below. Alright, Book of Boba Fett, Episode 3. Did I like it, or did I not like it? What's my face telling you? What's my face telling you? This is the face of someone that did not like it at all. Guys, I hated Episode 3. I'm sorry, I hated Episode 3. What is, like, is Boba Fett not this awesome former bounty hunter who's capable of kicking butt? Is he not that anymore? Like, when he crawled out of the Rancor pit, did he have this revelation that's like, man, I should stop hurting people. I should stop being mean. I should stop being the person that I've been my entire life. Was that a revelation that he had when he crawled out of that sand? Because I'm missing something. There's a disconnect here. When he goes and talks to those teenagers about the water, they're being disrespectful to him. And what's he do? He doesn't know if they're good fighters. He doesn't know if they'd be good enforcers for him. He just says, "You've got a smart mouth. I'd like to offer you a job." What? I mean, you are basically the godfather of tattooing. And you're letting teenagers smart off to you and you reward them by giving them a job? What? I'm completely at a loss with the characterization of Boba Fett here. I don't understand where Jon Favreau is going with this character. Did Jon Favreau hate Boba Fett? Did he hate him? Is that what he's doing here? Is he like, I hate this character, so I'm going to destroy him in the show? Is that what's happening? Because that's what's happening. Let's talk about the chase scene. The chase scene was the most boring chase scene in the history of cinema or television. That's it. That's it. It was awful. I kept on asking myself, I was like, while they're driving around their pink and green and blue little scooters, I kept asking myself, why don't they just get out and run? If that's as fast as they can go, why don't they just get out and run? They will go faster if they just get out and run. The CGI was horrible, and it looked sloggingly slow. I couldn't understand what, like, who approved this? Like, was Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, were they really watching it on the monitor saying, "Yep, this looks good"? What was going on here? I'm at a complete loss. The fight between Boba Fett and Black Krrsantan was fine. The Wookiee. But again, how'd the Wookiee get in? There's a huge door. Remember, it was hard to get into Jabba's palace. How'd he get in? We know the guards were there. The Gamorreans, the cybernetic teenagers, Fennec, they were all there. How'd Black Krrsantan get in? I don't know. Nobody knows. We just know that he was there. We still don't know who the mayor is. I mean, we know who the mayor is. We saw the mayor, but we don't know what the motivation behind the mayor is. My assumption at this point is the mayor is working for somebody else. The mayor, however, I don't know. I kind of feel like the mayor might be working for Crimson Dawn, but I don't know that. But the mayor continues to be one step ahead of Boba Fett, constantly ahead of him. How can you have this awesome bounty hunter where everybody is one step ahead of him? I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss with this show. I'm at a loss with it. The Rancor scene was kind of cool, and it's definitely building up to having Boba Fett riding a Rancor. And it was nice to get some background into, the function of Rancors. But that was just fan service. Look, guys, there's more Rancors. And this time, someone's going to ride it. Isn't that exciting? I'm sorry, it's not enough to get me excited. The Rancor is not enough to get me excited when everything else was done so badly. I mean, it's Star Wars. I'm going to finish it. And I'm going to be talking about every episode on my channel. I am not on board with this show, though. The Mandalorian was done so well. 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, not a bad episode. Now, there are some episodes that I liked more than others, absolutely. But The Mandalorian was firing on all cylinders. And then we get the Book of Boba Fett. The Book of Boba Fett, and it's just dull, boring, and doesn't make any sense. This understanding that everybody has on who the character of Boba Fett is, it's gone. Like, that's not him. Is it problematic to show Slave 1? I understand we don't want to call it Slave 1 anymore. Is it problematic to even show it? I don't know. Star Wars is in a weird place right now. And apparently even the people who do great with it, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, apparently even they can't do it consistently. Because episode 3 sucked. All right. All right. What were your thoughts on episode 3 of the Book of Boba Fett? Do you completely disagree with me, or do you kind of agree with me? Let me know in the comments down below. All right. We've reached the show and tell session. We've reached the show and tell. We have reached the show and tell portion of my show. Got my cards here. Won them on eBay. 1980, 42 years old. Superman 2. Now, just so you know, I have more than one package. I'm going to keep a couple of them closed, just because I like it. You know, I like the closed package. It's got bazooka gum inside. Let's check this out. Opens very easy. The glue that used to hold it together, it's basically non-existent, because that opened up very easily. All right, here we go. There's the gum. We will come back to this in a minute. There's the wrapper. It doesn't smell like gum anymore. Remember when you used to open up these cards? Remember if you were my age, when you used to open up these packages of cards, you could smell the gum instantly? No, I don't smell the gum. All right, let's look at the cards. Superman, now a mere mortal. A child is in danger, and a mom is being a very bad mom. Terror on the moon. Hulking villain from Krypton. Can they use the word hulking? Sure, why not? They don't make taxi cabs like they used to. How'd they used to make them? Saved from certain death. All right, we got our sticker. Kind of like that sticker. Newswoman, Lois Lane. You know, when everybody talks about who their favorite Lois Lane was of all time, we always get Amy Adams or Kate Bosworth, or the girl from Smallville. What was her name? Erica Durant. Sometimes Terry Hatcher's name comes up. The girl from Superman and Lois, sometimes she'll come up. Margot Kidder never comes up, but she's mine. Kryptonian Crystal Bank Archives. Beautiful but deadly Ursa. A clever trick. Getting even, Superman style. Probably the most out of character thing Superman has ever done in any movie was right here. He just went back to bully that guy. That's it. He went back to get revenge. Superman getting revenge on a mortal, on a dude. I'm sorry. People talk about, well, he wasn't very hopeful in Man of Steel, and he killed General Zod. I'm sorry. This was the most out of character thing Superman has ever done in the movies. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Alright. Spectacular battle. This card is actually kind of ruined because it was against the gum for so long. It's all raised right here. Alright. So what we're waiting for is the chewing of the gum. Got my phone on standby to call 911 in case I go into death convulsions. Let's try this out. It's just powder. It's just dissolving in my mouth, just powder. I gotta spit it out. It just dissolved in my mouth into powder. It's like I poured powdered sugar into my mouth. Kind of tastes like it too. Kind of tastes like powdered sugar. I had a spit cup ready just in case. Yeah. Dissolved in your mouth. Turned into powder. Alright. So I've answered the lifelong question. Can you chew 40-year-old bazooka gum out of a package of cards? The answer is no. It just turns to powder. And literally, I still it tastes like powdered sugar still, right now. Kind of gross. Kind of gross. So, alright. Oops. Superman 2 cards. I'm going to put this with my collection of Superman trading cards. And, yeah. That was gross. That was gross, but you're welcome. Alright guys, so once again, that is going to wrap up episode 3 of the LQ review. I don't have any questions to take on this episode, but guys, I'm not giving up on this format. Send questions to the LQ review at yahoo.com. I will answer questions that anybody sends. I'll answer them right here at this portion of the show. And ask questions about movies, TV shows, comic books, video games, anything that you're into and you want to know my opinion about it, shoot the question in and I'll be more than happy to answer in this section of the show. Again, like I said, I'm not giving up on this format. I'm going to do this for a year and see if I can grow my channel. So, thank you so much for joining me right here at the LQ Review, the LQ Pop Culture Review. Make sure that you send those questions in, the LQ Review at yahoo.com. And again, guys, make sure you like this video, share this video with your friends, because again, I am really trying to make a concerted effort now to grow my channel. I've got the subscribers necessary to monetize. I don't have the viewing hours yet. Will you help me get there? Like this, share it, and subscribe. Thanks so much, guys.